Imagine you're lying in an ICU hospital bed, machines beeping relentlessly, every breath a battle to survive. You're 27, your body fighting a brutal case of lupus, and the doctor just told your parents something that stops your heart. She might not make it through the night. You wait, hoping they'll grab your hand, say they're staying, that you're everything to them. But what do? They check their watches, apologize to the doctor, and leave to attend my brother's engagement party. Yep, a party with champagne and celebratory hugs, while I'm here, alone, fighting for every breath. This isn't a movie script, folks. This is my real story, Emma's story, and it deserves to be told on Reddit's r/relationships. It shattered my heart, but it also helped me find who I really am. I know you folks in Texas, scrolling YouTube after a long day in Austin or Houston, get what it's like to feel abandoned, to feel invisible to the people who should love you most. Anyone ever feel like just a shadow in their own family? I was there, in a freezing ICU room at St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago, oxygen tubes on my face, with pain that wasn't just physical. The real pain hit when I overheard my parents, Richard and Laura, talking about needing to be there for my brother Ethan, like my life wasn't worth missing one evening for. They chose a party's twinkling lights over their daughter, fighting to live. Sounds like Reddit-level drama, right? But hold up, this story gets crazier, and I'm spilling it all, from the moment I nearly died to how I stood up and said, enough, to the world. This story isn't just about betrayal. It's about finding yourself when your family turns their back. If you've ever felt overlooked, abandoned, or just want a story that'll make you comment ASAP, stick around. This is my journey from that hospital bed to what I call Phoenix Day, the day I rose from the ashes. Y'all ready for the rest? Because I promise, it'll have you sharing this in every Texas group chat, // okay? Y'all, let's rewind a bit before I was lying in that ICU bed, fighting to stay alive. I'm Emma, raised in a suburban Denver, Colorado, two-story house with a lush green lawn and a classic American white picket fence. Sounds like a dream, right? But if you've ever scrolled r/relationships on Reddit, you know a perfect facade often hides some serious drama. In my family, that drama's name was Ethan, my older brother, the golden child who my parents, Richard and Laura, treated like the center of the universe. Me? I was like a blurry extra in the family photo, always pushed to the sidelines, as if the photographer forgot I existed. Picture this. When Ethan won a basketball trophy in high school, my parents threw a massive backyard barbecue, inviting the whole neighborhood to cheer. But when I brought home a statewide art competition certificate, Mom just stuck it on the fridge and said, "Nice job, Emma. Now have you done your math homework?" Ethan got into Harvard. The family threw a party, wine flowing like a river. Me getting a scholarship to Savannah College of Art and Design. Dad just nodded and asked, "Heard about Ethan acing his law exam yet?" Every time, my heart stung, but I kept trying. I thought if I was better, drew prettier, achieved more, they'd see me. Spoiler alert, they never did. On Reddit, they call this the golden child/scapegoat dynamic. Ethan was the star, and I was the one shoved into the corner, no matter how hard I tried. Y'all in Texas, I bet some of you know what it's like to feel you're competing for love, right? That was me for 27 years, until lupus crashed in and flipped everything. Lupus isn't just joint pain or random fevers. It's an invisible war, and my family? They didn't even believe it was real. But hold up, the real drama kicked off when I landed in the hospital, and this story is gonna make you want to text your crew in Dallas or San Antonio to spill the tea. Ready for more? Cause it's about to get hotter than a Texas summer, // alright, y'all, hold up for a sec and think. Have you ever felt like a shadow in your own family? Like you've gotta scream to even get noticed? I bet plenty of folks in Texas, from Austin to Corpus Christi, are nodding right now. That was me for 27 years, and this story, straight out of Reddit's r/relationships, is gonna show you what happened when I decided I was done being invisible. But before we dive into the hospital drama, I wanna hear from you. If you've ever felt unseen, whether in your family or anywhere else, drop a comment with #InvisibleNoMore. And if you think this story deserves to hit the hot page on r/AITA, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a second of this tea. Come on, we're Reddit people. We live for stories like this, right? Let me give you the quick rundown on what landed me in that ICU bed. Lupus. Nope, not just feeling a bit tired, like my mom used to say. Lupus is an autoimmune beast, making my body attack itself. Joint pain, high fevers, and days where I just wanted to curl up from pure exhaustion. When I got diagnosed at 19, my parents didn't even bother reading the doctor's pamphlets. They said, You're probably just studying too hard. Rest up and you'll be fine. Yeah, sure, like a nap fixes a chronic illness. But lupus is what led me to that defining moment at St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago, where I learned exactly where I ranked on my family's priority list. Y'all ready for the next part? 'Cause I promise, this drama's gonna have you texting your bestie in Houston like, you won't believe this. Stick around, 'cause it's about to pop off hotter than 4th of July fireworks. // alright y'all, come with me back to my childhood in suburban Denver, where everything looked picture perfect from the outside. A 2-story house, a neatly trimmed lawn, and weekend BBQs smelling like heaven. But if you've ever scrolled r/relationships, you know family drama's never as simple as an Instagram post. In my house, my brother Ethan was the superstar, basketball team captain, straight-A student, and my parents' #1 pride and joy, Richard and Laura. And me, Emma? I was like an extra in Ethan's movie, always shoved to the edge of the frame. Sound familiar, Texas folks? Picture this. Ethan's 14, leading his basketball team to a regional championship. My parents turn our backyard into a full-on festival, balloons, burgers, and a crowd of neighbors cheering him on. That same year, I won first place in a statewide art competition, bringing home a trophy and a scholarship. What does Mom say? Nice job, Emma. Then turns to ask Ethan about his next game. When I graduated high school, I walked across the stage, scanning the crowd for my parents, but their seats were empty. Where were they? 3 states away, cheering for Ethan at a basketball tournament. Later, they texted, "Sorry, Ethan's team made the finals, so proud." Proud of him, but what about me? I got a cake from my grandparents and a promise they'd make it up later. Spoiler, there was no later. Each moment like that was a tiny cut, but I kept trying. I thought if I drew better, got higher grades, maybe they'd see me. But on Reddit, they call this the golden child/scapegoat dynamic, and I was stuck as the loser. Y'all in San Antonio or Dallas, ever feel like you're running a marathon just to get your family's attention? That was me, and things only got worse when lupus hit, turning my life into a battle my family barely cared about. Ready for the next dose of drama? 'Cause this story's about to get spicier than jalapenos in your favorite Tex-Mex dish. // alright y'all. Now let's get to the part where my family drama ramps up, like an r/relationships thread racking up thousands of upvotes. When I was 19, a sophomore in college, my body started betraying me. I was so exhausted that dragging myself out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. My joints ached like someone was stabbing them, and fevers came and went without warning. After a slew of tests, the doctor dropped the diagnosis: lupus, an autoimmune disease where my body attacks itself. I called home, hoping my parents, Richard and Laura, would worry, ask questions. But what did Mom say? It's probably just stress, Emma. You're too sensitive. And Dad? Eat right and you'll be fine. Don't overdo the studying. Yeah, sure, like a salad cures lupus. On Reddit, they call this gaslighting, and I was getting gaslit by my own family. The pain of the disease was nothing compared to the loneliness. I moved to Chicago for a graphic design job, partly for work, partly to escape Ethan's shadow back in Denver. But every call home was the same old song. Ethan just won a big case, or Ethan bought a new condo. I'd mentioned my design award. Parents went, "Oh, nice," then back to Ethan. I thought distance would help, but nope. It just made me feel like a stranger in my own family. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit late at night in Fort Worth or El Paso, ever feel like you've got to scream to be heard by your family? That was me, battling lupus and their indifference, not knowing things were about to get so bad they nearly killed me. This story's about to heat up hotter than a 100-degree day in Lubbock, so stick around, 'cause the hospital drama's waiting just ahead. // alright y'all. Picture me in Chicago at 22, fresh in the graphic design game, but lupus acting like an uninvited guest who won't leave. Joint pain, fevers, fatigue. Some days I just wanted to chuck my laptop and hide under the covers for a week. My family back in Denver? Still busy worshiping my brother Ethan, like I didn't exist. My parents, Richard and Laura, never asked about my illness, just went on about Ethan got a promotion, or Ethan's getting engaged. I was lonely, adrift, until I found something that changed everything. Reddit. Yup, folks, r/chronic illness became my first real family. While my mom said, "Just rest, you'll be fine," strangers on Reddit sent me lupus research links, shared pain management tips, and dropped comments like, "You're not alone." Sounds like a viral r/relationships thread, right? I started posting my story on r/chronic illness, from my worst days to realizing my family didn't care. Every upvote, every comment, was a reminder I deserved to be heard. I even launched a blog, inspired by those Redditors, writing about living with lupus and feeling overlooked by family. That blog wasn't just therapy, it connected me with people from Texas to California. Y'all in Amarillo or Waco, ever scrolled Reddit at 2 a.m. and found a comment that made you feel less alone? That's what Reddit did for me. But don't think the story stops here. Lupus was about to throw me into a fight for my life, and my family drama? It's about to blow up bigger than a Gulf Coast storm. Stick around, cause this tale's gonna have you texting your Austin crew to spill the tea, // alright y'all. Let's head to Chicago, where I was trying to build a new life, far from my brother Ethan's shadow and my parents' indifference back in Denver. I'm 24, working in graphic design, living in a cozy little apartment with my roommate, Mia, who became the real sister you only read about in heartfelt r/relationships threads. Lupus was still a jerk, hitting me with pain and fatigue, but Mia? She was the light in my darkest days. When I spiked a fever, Mia brought warm blankets and chicken soup without me saying a word. She researched lupus on her own, kept track of my med schedule, and knew when I needed quiet or a coffee-fueled heart-to-heart. A Reddit voiceover would call Mia the MVP of the year, and I'd agree 100%. Meanwhile, my family was like a broken record. Every call was an Ethan update. Ethan just bought a new car, or Ethan's marrying his perfect girlfriend. I'd mentioned getting a promotion at my design firm. Mom went, "Oh, that's nice," then pivoted to bragging about Ethan. But with Mia, I didn't have to compete to be seen. She threw a mini party when I won a design award, complete with pizza and a Texas-style country playlist I loved. Y'all in Arlington or Plano, ever found a friend who makes you feel enough without proving anything? Mia was that for me. But don't think it was all smooth sailing. Lupus and my family drama were gearing up for a knockout punch, and it came faster than you'd expect. This story is about to get hotter than a game at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium, so stick around. You won't want to miss this. // alright y'all. Here's where the drama goes nuclear, like an r/relationships thread pinned to the top for being absolutely wild. I'm Emma, 27, living in Chicago, juggling graphic design and lupus, this autoimmune beast that pounces whenever I let my guard down. One Tuesday morning, I woke up with the usual joint pain, but this time it was different. By noon, it felt like knives stabbing my bones. My fever spiked to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and every breath was like inhaling shattered glass. I texted my parents in Denver. Bad lupus flare, fever 102, struggling to breathe, might need the hospital. I hoped they'd call, ask questions, or at least act worried. But Mom, Laura, texted back, "Take some Tylenol, rest up, you'll be fine." Dad, Richard, was worse. Ethan had a high fever once and still aced his law exam. It's all about willpower, kid. Yeah, sure, like willpower fixes organ failure. If this was r/AITA, I bet Reddit would call them YTA in all caps. My condition tanked fast. Fever hit 105, my vision blurred, and the 12 steps to the bathroom felt like a marathon. My roommate, Mia, was on a work trip in Detroit. I sent her a weak text. "Not okay, really sick." Thank God, Mia cut her trip short, raced back to our apartment, and found me nearly passed out on the floor. Her voice, panicked but firm, called 911. "My friend has lupus, fever 105.3, can't breathe right, please hurry." If it wasn't for Mia, I wouldn't be here telling this story. The ambulance came, sirens blaring, and I was rushed to St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago, where the real fight for my life began. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Laredo or Abilene, ever feel your family turn their back right when you needed them most? That was me, on a stretcher, oxygen tubes on my face, realizing my parents picked a party over my life. This drama's about to get hotter than July in El Paso, and trust me, you'll want to hear how I survived. This isn't just about lupus. It's about finding out who's really got your back when everything falls apart. Ready? 'Cause it's about to get crazier than a Super Bowl finale. // alright y'all. Now the drama hits fever pitch, like an r/relationships thread where all of Reddit's spamming WTF in the comments. I'm Emma, in the ICU at St. Mary's Hospital, Chicago, machines beeping, oxygen tubes on my face, every heartbeat a fight. Lupus has me on the edge, and the doctor just told my parents, Richard and Laura, she might not make it through the night. I hear it, and my heart breaks, thinking they'll stay, hold my hand, right? Wrong. They show up, but 30 minutes later, Mom scrolling her phone, gushing over venue pics for my brother Ethan's engagement party. Dad's checking his watch, like, she's fine, let's go. Then what? They apologize to the doctor, say they have to be there for Ethan and leave, ditching me alone, fighting to survive. A party with champagne and cake mattered more than their daughter's life. If this was r/AITA, Reddit would scream, YTA of the century. I'm lying there, hurting not just from lupus, but from betrayal. My parents chose a glitzy restaurant's lights over being with me when I needed them most. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Midland or Brownsville, ever had your family turn their back when you were at your weakest? That's me, 27, thinking I'm about to die with no comfort from my own kin. But hold up, the story doesn't end there. In that pitch black night, people who weren't blood stepped up, saving not just my body, but my soul. This drama is about to get wilder than an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I promise, you'll want to hear who showed up when my family bailed. Ready? Cause this story is gonna burn hotter than a Saturday night football game at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. / alright y'all, the ICU drama's hotter than a Texas barbecue pit, and this is where the real heroes step into the light. I'm Emma, on a hospital bed at St. Mary's, Chicago. Lupus trying to knock me out, machines beeping like a countdown. My parents, Richard and Laura, just failed to attend my brother Ethan's engagement party, leaving me alone, thinking this might be my last night. But then, like a plot twist worthy of topping r/relationships, my roommate Mia bursts in. She just flew back from Detroit, ditching her work trip, and now she's gripping my hand, voice shaky but firm. Emma, I'm here, you're gonna be okay. Mia doesn't leave, doesn't scroll her phone, doesn't talk about anything but keeping me conscious. She rattles off my medical history to the doctors, meds I'm on, my recent fever spikes, like a capeless superhero. On Reddit, they'd call Mia ride or die, and I swear, she deserves 1,000 upvotes. Then there's Nurse Sarah, an angel in a white scrub. Sarah doesn't just check IVs or swap fluid bags. She sees me, really sees me. When I'm too weak to speak, she shares how she fought breast cancer, how her own family ditched her for a golf trip. Her voice is warm. Emma, the ones who show up are your real family. Sarah brings extra pillows, hands me a cool cup of water, and stays past her shift, just so I'm not alone. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Lubbock or McAllen, ever had a stranger save your soul when your family turned their back? Mia and Sarah were my light in the darkest night. They're not blood, but they gave me a reason to keep fighting. This drama's about to take a turn, cause I did something that shocked my whole family, something r/AITA would debate for a week. Ready? This story's gonna get wilder than a live show at Austin City Limits, and you'll want to hear how I flipped the script, / alright y'all. Now the ICU drama takes a turn, like a plot twist that'd have Reddit flooding the r/relationships comments with, OMG. I'm Emma, still at St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago, lupus turning my body into a war zone, but my heart's even more broken cause my parents, Richard and Laura, ditched me for my brother Ethan's engagement party. I'm so weak I can barely hold a water cup, but in my head, a fire's raging. I'm done trying to be the good daughter, chasing love from folks who treat me like Plan B. That night, amid the beeping machines, I ask Mia to bring my laptop. With every painful breath, I type a letter to my family, not to beg, but to declare. I'm done running after your approval. The letter isn't angry. I don't have the energy for anger. It's clear, sharp as a blade. I write about years of being overshadowed, how they left me in the ICU when the doctor said I might die. I say, I deserve love without a fight, and if you can't give it, I'm choosing my own path. I demand no contact until I'm ready, setting a hard boundary. No more settling for scraps of affection when they've got time. The letter is a goodbye to the Emma who tried to please them, and a hello to the Emma who knows her worth. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Tyler or Beaumont, ever had to draw a line to protect your heart? That letter was my haymaker, and it rocked my family. This drama's about to explode bigger than fireworks at the San Antonio River Walk, cause when they read it, everything changed forever. Ready? This story's gonna have you texting your Houston crew like, you gotta hear this. / alright, y'all, this is the moment everything crumbles, like an r/relationships thread shared by thousands for peak drama. I'm Emma, just wrote that fateful letter in the ICU at St. Mary's, Chicago, declaring boundaries with the family that ditched me for my brother Ethan's engagement party. Lupus is still wrecking me, but that letter was my first stand. I asked Nurse Sarah to leave it on the hospital table, then slipped out with Mia before my parents, Richard and Laura, returned. When they walked in, my bed was empty, just the letter sitting there like a ticking time bomb. I didn't see it go down, but Sarah spilled the tea, and trust me, it's Reddit hot page material. Sarah said Mom tore open the envelope, face going pale as she read. Dad stood frozen, for once in his life with no excuses. The letter laid it all bare. Years of being overshadowed, how they left me in the ICU when the doctor said I might die. I wrote, "You chose a party over your daughter. I'm done accepting that." Ethan, for the first time, looked at them with doubt, asking, "You really left her to go to my party?" Mom stammered, trying to justify, but Sarah cut in, voice icy. "She nearly died twice last night. Her friend signed for emergency surgery because you didn't pick up." The room went stone cold. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Odessa or Killeen, ever seen your family face the fallout of their own actions? That's when my parents realized they'd lost me, not because I died, but because I chose to live for myself. This drama's spicier than chili con carne at an authentic Tex-Mex joint, and it's about to shift to how I rose again. Stick around, cause you'll want to tell your Fort Worth crew right after hearing this, / Alright y'all, after that bombshell letter left my family floored, I, Emma, left the ICU at St. Mary's, Chicago, not to slip back into the old grind, but to start fresh. Lupus was still a fight, my body weak like I'd just run a marathon, but I had a place to heal. Mia's apartment, my roommate who proved family doesn't need blood ties. Mia and her boyfriend, Lucas, opened their door, turning a spare room into my safe haven. Mia cared for me like a sister, measuring my meds just right and cooking Vietnamese pho I loved. Lucas, a quiet graphic designer, brought tacos from my favorite food truck just to make me smile. On our / relationships, they'd be called chosen family, and I swear, they deserve 1,000,000 upvotes for being there when my parents picked a party over me. Every day, there was a small step toward recovery. Mia sat by me during fevers, wiping my forehead with a cool cloth, never once complaining. Lucas set up a standing desk in the corner, so I could work remotely without back pain. No one told me to tough it out, or stop whining like my parents used to. They saw me, really saw me, and that was stronger than any pill. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Galveston or Laredo, ever found people who make you feel enough without proving anything? Mia and Lucas were the light guiding me through the dark. But don't think the drama's over. That letter was just the start, and my rebirth journey is about to pop off bigger than a South by Southwest night in Austin. Stick around, cause you'll want to spill this story to your San Antonio crew right after hearing it, / alright y'all. After leaving the ICU and finding a safe haven with Mia and Lucas, I, Emma, knew I needed more than meds to heal. Lupus might have wrecked my body, but the scars from my parents ditching me in the hospital, choosing my brother Ethan's engagement party over me, cut deeper. I started therapy over Zoom with Dr. Karen Lee, a specialist in chronic illness and family trauma, and trust me, it was a game changer worthy of a shout out on our / chronic illness. Karen didn't just listen, she helped me see why I always felt invisible. She called my family a golden child / scapegoat dynamic, with Ethan as the star and me shoved to the sidelines. It was like reading a Reddit thread exposing my own life. Karen taught me my parents' indifference wasn't my fault. "Emma," she said, "your worth doesn't hinge on whether they see you." I started journaling, writing lines like, "I am enough," to remind myself daily. Therapy wasn't magic. Some days I cried, some days I raged, but it was a map out of the dark. I learned to set boundaries, not just with my family but with myself, to stop chasing approval that never came. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Corpus Christi or Waco, ever found strength in owning your worth? Karen showed me I deserve love without a fight. But the story doesn't end here. My family drama's got another twist coming, and this journey's about to pop off bigger than a football game at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. Stick around, cause you'll want to spill this to your Dallas crew right after hearing it, / alright y'all, while I, Emma, was recovering in Chicago with Mia and Lucas's support and learning to love myself through therapy with Dr. Karen, I found a life-changing community, Reddit. After the ICU, where my parents, Richard and Laura, ditched me for my brother Ethan's engagement party, I turned to our / chronic illness and our / relationships, where strangers became friends. I posted a long thread on our / relationships, spilling all the drama. Lupus nearly killed me, my family turned their back, the letter I left in the hospital. The post blew up, hundreds of comments flooding in. "You're not alone. Your family's YTA." Those words hit harder than any pill the doctor prescribed. On Reddit, I didn't have to prove my worth. I was heard, seen. From there, I started a blog, inspired by Redditors. I wrote about lupus, setting boundaries with family, feeling invisible. The blog wasn't just therapy, it connected me with folks from Chicago to Texas. I hosted a meetup at a Chicago coffee shop, meeting Redditors from our /chronicillness. We laughed, shared stories, and for the first time, I felt like I belonged. One Redditor said, "Your story gave me the guts to say no to my toxic family." That warmed my heart. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Amarillo or Brownsville, ever found strength in an online community? Reddit gave me back my voice. But the family drama ain't over. A new twist is coming, and it's gonna hit harder than a Houston rodeo night. Stick around, cause you'll want to spill this to your Austin crew right after hearing it. // alright y'all. After finding strength from Reddit and therapy, I, Emma, started rebuilding my life in Chicago, far from my family's shadow in Denver. Lupus is still a fight, but I'm not letting it, or my parents' indifference, Richard and Laura, define me. The letter I left in the ICU, declaring boundaries after they ditched me for my brother Ethan's engagement party, marked a new beginning. I moved into my own apartment near Mia's, painting the walls a vibrant teal, a color my mom once called garish. Every brushstroke was a reminder. This is my space, my life, and I'm living it true to myself. But what really made me shine? My graphic design career, where I turned pain into art, and trust me, it's blowing up bigger than a viral r/relationships thread. I got promoted to art director at my firm, leading a team of 5 on major campaigns. Nearly dying in the ICU changed how I work. I'm not afraid to take risks, not trying to please everyone. I design bold, colorful campaigns that scream me. One of my projects won an industry award, and this time, no parents were there to overshadow the joy. My colleagues said, "Emma, you're different, like you're not scared of anything anymore." They're right. I don't need my family's approval to know I'm damn good. I threw a celebration at my place with Mia, Lucas, and my design team, dancing to Texas-style country tunes and chowing down on barbecue from a local joint. No more calls home ending with "heard about Ethan yet?" I've found my own light. My apartment's now a gallery, walls lined with photos I've taken and art I've painted, not to show off, but to remind me I'm enough. Every morning, I look in the mirror and say, "You've got this." Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in El Paso or College Station, ever felt that freedom from stopping the chase for others' approval? That's me, 27, living true, no longer Ethan's shadow. But don't think the family drama's done. An unexpected run-in with my parents is coming, and it'll have you itching to post on r/AITA. ATA for not forgiving easily? This story's hotter than a 110-degree day in Lubbock, and you'll want to spill it to your San Marcos crew right after hearing it. Stick around, cause this journey's about to pop off bigger than an Austin City Limits night. // alright y'all. After rising from the ICU, finding light through Reddit, therapy, and a booming career, I, Emma, thought I was done with family drama. But life ain't a neatly upvoted r/relationships thread. Months after that fateful letter, where I set hard boundaries with my parents, Richard and Laura, for ditching me for my brother Ethan's engagement party, they kept trying to reach out, flowers sent to my office, handwritten notes, even showing up at my building. I wasn't ready, but therapy with Dr. Karen taught me confronting them could be closure. I agreed to meet at a Chicago coffee shop with conditions. 1 hour, no excuses, no pushing for toxic normal. Mia sat at a nearby table, ready to back me up like a loyal r/chronicillness Redditor. They showed up on time, but looked different, mom thinner, dad's hair grayer. They said, "Emma, you look healthy," voices shaky. "Inuda, noshmila." They apologized for the ICU night, mom crying. We were wrong. We didn't know it was that serious. But then, like a predictable r/AITA thread, they slipped back. "Why didn't you make it clearer?" We came to the hospital that morning. I cut in calmly. "I'm not here to argue. Respect my boundaries, or there's no relationship." For the first time, they went quiet, like the letter still echoed. Ethan emailed later, wanting to meet alone. At a lakeside park, he said, "I didn't see how they treated you. I was wrong, and I want to make it right." Not a fairy tale, but a start to a new relationship. No more golden child. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Abilene or McAllen, ever set a boundary and watched it shift everything? This meeting wasn't a perfect ending, but it was my step forward. The drama's got one final chapter, and it's gonna hit harder than a Fort Worth rodeo night. Stick around, cause you'll want to spill this to your Austin crew right after hearing it. // alright, y'all. My journey as Emma, from an ICU bed to finding myself, led me to a special moment, Phoenix Day. After setting boundaries with my parents in Chicago and drawing strength from Reddit and therapy, I threw a party at my apartment, not to dwell on pain, but to celebrate my rebirth. Mia, Lucas, and my r/chronicillness crew were there, laughing loud, chowing down on Texas-style barbecue, and dancing to country tunes. I wrote a new letter, not for my family, but for me, vowing to live authentically, love myself, and keep boundaries to protect my soul. That letter was my promise. I am enough, with or without their approval. On our /relationships, they'd call this a peak glow up, and I'm proud to have risen from the ashes. Y'all in Texas, scrolling Reddit in Lubbock or Galveston, ever found a chosen family or set boundaries to live true? Share your story in the comments with #PhoenixDay. If this drama makes you crave more Reddit-worthy tales, smash like, subscribe, and share with your Austin crew. This story's hotter than a South by Southwest night, and I want to hear how you've risen. Let's hit the r/AATA hot page together, /